All right, welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to be learning about selections in Photopea. We're going to be learning about how to add selections and to subtract from selections. So I'm going to start by opening up 3 different files. And I've named mine A1, A2, A3 just for convenience, just so I can see them. But I do recommend naming your files because it will help finding them. And then it does help when you have them in Photopea because they're all named in these little tabs at the top. So what I need to do first is rotate my images. Obviously, these aren't the right way. And to do that, I'm going to go to Edit, scroll down to Transform, and I'm going to rotate. If you notice that Rotate by 90 degrees has these little arrows. So when you click on them, you kind of know which way it's going to rotate. Don't worry so much about like how it's kind of cut my legs off down here. We don't need to worry about that because I'm going to be cropping myself out anyway. If I did want to make my canvas in the background a little bit bigger, I can go to Image, Canvas Size, and make my height a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to change this to 9 real quick. Even it out a little bit, then I can see my legs again. I'm going to do the same thing with A2, so I'm going to start by changing the canvas size. I'm then going to rotate by going to Edit, Transform, and now I have all 3 images. So what my goal is for this one is I'm going to turn both of these versions of myself into little miniature characters. And first I need to select them out. So I'm going to zoom in just a quick little bit here. And then the first selection tool I'm going to use here is the quick selection. There's also the object selection, but I prefer not to use that just because there's a lot of stuff in the background that I don't want selected. So like I have this little bar back here. It also is selecting the overhead screen behind me. So there's kind of a lot of distracting elements. Same thing with quick selection. So if I Command D on a Mac will deselect. And then if I go to quick selection, the same thing kind of happens. It starts to select little bits behind me, which we, again, don't want. So I'm going to deselect that one again. And so what I'm going to have to use is the lasso tool, which is something I prefer to use anyway. And there's multiple options we can do. So I'm going to start with just selecting. Oh, that wasn't very good. Let me start again. I'm going to start with selecting just the top of my head here. And we notice there's little bits that I'm maybe going a little too far over. I'm going to exaggerate one here. And I'm going to go back to the beginning. So we can see that when I selected my head, there's multiple like white space behind me that I don't want. And then there's some stuff that I do want. So the first thing I want you guys to focus on is the options bar right at the top here. Right now I'm on the first tool, which is replace, which means if I click right now, it's going to replace that section, which I don't want. What I do want to do is I want to unite or add on to this selection. So I'm going to click the Unite tool, which is both circles are full. And when I click on Unite, it means I can continue this selection. I can start going down my hood here and over my shoulder and down my arm, and I can continue this selection, and I can actually add on to it. So I can continue going down my body without having to redo it, just like the Replace tool. If I use the Subtract tool, which is right next to it, it's the circle that's empty and the circle that's full. I can then start to take away some of these areas that I don't want. So like this little white triangle that's right here, I can get rid of that by just circling it. I'm going to go up my hair here and circle that. Then I just need to kind of piece through all of these little bits until I cleaned up the way I want. that is just a quick review on the selection tool. I won't go into any further depth on the selection tool just for the tutorial purpose. Once I have my selection done, so we're going to pretend that the selection is completed, I can then use Command X to cut this selection out. So if I wanted to cut it out, I could cut it. If I wanted to edit this area, now that I just have this selection edited, I can go back and I can edit just that area, that like selected area. If I wanted to copy it, I can hit Command C to copy, and then I could paste it in the area that I wanted.